We would now like to invite upon Mr. Lee Kwang Boon, Secretary General of the United Nations Association in Singapore, to share a message from the United Nations for the students of GIIS.
Namaskar. A very good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and all educators and students of GIIS. It gives me great honor to read the text of UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon's message for the observance of International Day of Non-Violence today, 2nd of October. The message reads, "Today, we celebrate the birthday of Mahatma Gandhi and his resonant legacy of non-violence. Gandhi showed the power of peacefully opposing oppression, injustice, and hatred. His example has inspired many other history makers such as Martin Luther King and Nelson Mandela. The message to each of us is to champion human dignity, reject intolerance, and work for a world where people of all cultures and beliefs live together on the basis of respect and equality. Non-violence is neither inert nor passive. It takes courage to stand up to those who use violence to enforce their will and beliefs. It requires resolve to stand against injustice, discrimination, and brutality, and to demand respect for diversity and fundamental human rights. It also requires courage to move from a conflict and embrace peaceful negotiation. Non-violence needs leaders across nations and in communities and homes, backed by an army of brave people prepared to demand peace, freedom, and fairness. The United Nations stands for the peaceful resolution of dispute and the end of all forms of violence, whether state-sponsored or embedded in culture and practice, such as violence and intimidation. Women and girls endure in all regions. Ending such violence can start with each of us, in homes, school, and workplace. Violence can be contagious, but so can peaceful dialogue. The United Nations is also focused on ending poverty in a generation. Poverty is a fertile ground for violence and crime, but it is inherently violent to the needs and aspirations of the world's most vulnerable people. That is why we place such emphasis in fulfilling the promise of the Millennium Development Goals by 2015 and setting a new development agenda with poverty at its core and sustainable development as its guide. As population grows and pressure on the planet increase, we need also to be aware of the violence we inflict on the natural world. As we set sights on sustainable future, we must be guided by the imperative to do no harm to people or the planet. On this International Day of Non-Violence, I call on global citizens everywhere to be inspired by the courage of people like Gandhi. Turn your back to division and hatred. Stand up for what is right and just. Work with your fellow women and men for a world of lasting justice, peace, and prosperity for all. Ban Ki-moon. So please allow me maybe just to engage all the students here present here in some serious reflection. You students are truly lucky. You have the blessings of good education and youth. My advice to you is when you live here, whatever assignment you take on, do it well, show leadership, make a difference. You begin with a tremendous head start, a fine education, and that is a huge gift. Education is not just the key to a better living. It is also a key to a more just and prosperous world. The skills you are acquiring through education don't just enable you to do well, they enable you to do good. Education is vital for fostering global citizenship and building peaceful society. Everyone has a role to play. Government, business leaders, non-governmental organizations, and people like yourself. Remember, the UN starts with a U. This is your moment. This is your world. This is your UN. Go make your nation stronger. Go make our world better. Go live a life of service. Never underestimate the power of individual to make a difference to change the world. Never be afraid to dream. If you have passion and compassion, today's dream can be tomorrow's reality. By being here, I know you share the passion for peace. You are my inspiration. You are the ears, the eyes, and conscience of our world. Speak out. That is your responsibility. Let that be your commitment, and let's continue to build a better world for all. Finally, I appeal to all of you to bring your passion and energy to the service of our planet Earth and the precious life we sustain. This is a lot to ask, but we are counting on you. Thank you again for your commitment and good work, and I thank you for the gracious law given to me and the time.
Thank you, sir, for reminding us once again about the power of peacefully achieving our goals. And we will definitely strive to emulate the examples set by Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, and all the other great personalities of the world.
We kindly request Mr. Amirali Jumaboy, Chairman of the Mahatma Gandhi Committee, GOPIO Singapore, to present a vote of thanks.
Your Excellency, Indian High Commissioner, may I take this opportunity to welcome you to Singapore. We are a little abroad, but we live in peace. And I think we have some use of neighbors around us, beyond us. And we also are fortunate to be close to India, and that we receive many lessons from what happened to one of the world's oldest civilizations. You students just sang 5 or 6 psalms from various religions that shows how old, how gloriously old, and how young your India is. For that, we congratulate you. But I have a more serious message, that today the world is sitting on a precipice, with nations fighting nations, the reconstruction of Western domination of the Middle East, the damage to Islam by the wrongdoings of the Muslims themselves, the selfish interests of the power-hungry to keep their holdings, the financial situations of major countries in the world. All these factors are summed up in the words of Gandhi, where he says, 7 social sins: politics without principles, wealth without work, pleasure without conscience, knowledge without character, commerce without morality, science without humanity, and worship without sacrifice. This he wrote in Young India, 22nd of October 1925. On Islam's Holy Prophet Muhammad, he says, I wanted to know the best of the one who holds an undisputed stay over the hearts of millions, now over 1.5 trillion of mankind. And he studied the Prophet Muhammad's life, and he was convinced of the utter self-effacement of the Prophet, scrupulous regard for pleasures, intense devotion to his friends and followers, fearlessness, his absolute trust in God and in his own mission, and not the sword that Islam is blamed for carrying. Today, the world also faces annihilation, almost too horrible to contemplate. Global warming would destroy the lives of 700 million people in the short future. The melting of the snows in the Himalayas will wipe out livelihoods in all of Asia, including China. These are the things that threaten this world, and these are the challenges young people will face. And therefore, since time is short, there are two things I wanted to say. One was about Prophet Muhammad, since I have some authority to speak on his behalf. This is a letter written by the Prophet Muhammad to St. Catherine's Monastery, which is today Mount Sinai, 652. This is a message from Muhammad bin Abdullah, a covenant to those who adopt Christianity near and far. We, that is and Muslims, are with them. Verily I, the servants, helpers, and my followers defend them, because Christians are my citizens, and by God I hold out against anything that displeases them. No compulsion is to be made on them. None of their judges are to be removed from job or monks from monasteries. No one is to destroy a house of their religion, to damage it or carry anything from it to Muslim houses. Should take any one of these, he would spoil God's covenant and disobey his prophet. I will not carry on with that, but if the newspapers want to recognize this, this letter is available. It is in the Mount Sinai in Palestine, and the original is in Istanbul. This is the Islam the Prophet brought. Look at what Muslim countries profess to do for this religion in this manner. So I thought I would like to end with one more saying of Gandhiji. You must be the change you wish to see in the world. Thank you. Honored guests.
Thank you, sir. We indeed must be the change we want to see in the world.